Hi guys, welcome to our first day of e-learning. I know this is kind of a weird time, but we will get through this together. Hopefully everybody has their Romeo and Juliet book out. And so if you could get it out, and if you could open up to page 5, where we are at Act 1, Scene 1. We've already gone over the prologue. See, I'm having some coffee. So this week we're going to try to stay at like the same pace we would if we were with each other. And I'm going to try out some different things. We'll see how it works. Today I'm using WeVideo to record this from my home. And today I'll be acting out Act 1, Scene 1 and stopping and talking through things. So with your book out, also have a pen to annotate out. So as we go along. Okay, so just before we get started, any accents, any acting, any children, my children that pop in during this video, we just have to be really flexible and forgiving. And please at no point don't make a meme of me. Please, just do me that solid. Okay, so here we go. Act 1, Scene 1, Verona, a public place. Enter Samson and Gregory with swords and bucklers. So these are servants of the Capulets and the Montagues, and they've probably been out. This is like really, really early morning. They've been out probably drinking, hanging out, and they're walking in Verona. And so Samson says, "Gregory, on my word, will not carry coals." Gregory says, "No, for then we should be colliers. I mean, and we being collar will draw. Ah, while you live, draw your neck out of your collar. I strike quickly being moved, but thou art not quickly moved to strike." So these two friends, these are Samson and Gregory, are Capulet servants. And they are like joking with each other, making fun of each other. They're like bros. Samson says, "A dog of the house of Montague moves me." So he's saying he's so angry at the Montague house that even a dog of theirs would make him want to fight. "To move is to stir, and to be valiant is to stand. Therefore, if thou art moved, thou runnest away. A dog of that house shall move me to stand. I will take the wall of any man or maid of Montagues. That shows thee a weak slave, for the weakest goes to the wall, 'tis true. And therefore women, being the weaker vessels, are ever thrust to the wall. Therefore I will push Montague's men from the wall, and thrust his maids to the wall." So they're being rude here and making just bad. So they're saying that, you know, if you're walking down the street, usually if a man and woman were walking with each other, especially at this time, the man would go closest to the street to protect the woman from, like, you know, if a carriage went by and mud swished up on her, the man would get it, like she'd be protected. And so they're saying that the weakest go towards the wall, weak being women. Of course, this is a much different time, and we know that women are not weak. But, you know, this is a different time, as I said. And so they're saying that the Montagues are the weaker, so they'll go up towards the wall. And then Samson is crude and rude and is saying that, like, yeah, he'll make the Montagues go towards the wall and thrust his maids to the wall, you know, like sexually assault them and take advantage of them, which, ugh. Okay, so Gregory, "The quarrel is between our masters and us, their men. 'Tis all one. I will show myself a tyrant. When I have fought with the men, I will be civil with the maids. I will cut off their heads." "The heads of the maids?" "Ah, the heads of the maids, or their maidenheads, taken with what sense thou wilt." And now they're saying, like, they're going to take the Montague's women's virginity. They're just being just jerks. They must take it in a sense that feel it. Me they shall feel while I am able to stand, and 'tis known I am a pretty piece of flesh. 'Tis well thou art not fish. If thou hadst been poor John. So now Gregory's making fun of Samson and calling him like, well, it's a good thing you're not a fish because you'd be like a disgusting fish. Draw thy tool. Here comes the house of Montagues. So where they're walking, these two servants of the Capulet house, here they see some servants from the Montague house, and they had just been talking about how they would fight any Montague that they come across. Enter two other servingmen, one being Abram. My naked weapon is out. Quarrel, I will back thee. How? Turn thy back and run? So Samson's like, whatever you say, I got your back. And Gregory's like, no, you don't. You're going to run away from this fight. Fear me not. No, marry, I fear thee. Let us take the law of our sides. Let them begin. I will frown as I pass by, and let them take it as they list. Nay, as they dare. I will bite my thumb at them, which is disgrace to them if they bear it. So, okay, we get that the feud is so big that the servants of the houses are even involved. Like, that's how much this feud is affecting Verona and the people of it. And now we get this talk of biting the thumb at them. So this would be the equivalent of, during our time, like giving somebody the finger. That doesn't mean that you in 2020 should go around and like secretly be biting your thumb towards people and you're getting away with something. But that is what they're talking about. It's like the equivalent of giving the thumb. I mean, that middle finger. Okay, so they walk by, and their plan is to just kind of casually walk by and bite their thumb at the servants of the Montagues. All right. Do you bite your thumb at us, sir? I do bite my thumb, sir. Do you bite your thumb at us, sir? So this word, sir, the tone there is like they could be saying jerk, or, it's like totally sarcasm. They're using this formality of sir, but they're being really, really rude and antagonizing one another. Okay, aside to Gregory. An aside in Shakespearean plays means that two characters are saying something to each other. It's like a whisper, and the rest of the characters can't hear them, but the audience can. Sometimes it's a character, like one character says something to themselves, and we just act like the other characters can't hear them. And the point of that is that, like, we need to know sometimes their thoughts, or, like, we need to hear a whisper, and we all just pretend that the other characters can't because it's a play, and we need to get information to the audience. Is the law of our side if I say I? No. So the rule in Verona is that the person that starts the fight will get in trouble. So they're trying to be careful. They don't want to be seen as the people that start the fight. No, sir, I do not bite my thumb at you, sir, but I bite my thumb, sir. Do you quarrel, sir? Quarrel, sir? No, sir. But if you do, sir, I am for you. I serve as good a man as you. No better. Well, sir. So they are just, like flexing and antagonizing each other, and they're getting ready to rumble. Okay, enter Benvolio. Gregory, aside to Samson. Say better. Here comes one of my master's kinsmen. Yes, better, sir. You lie. Draw if you be men. Gregory, remember thy washing blow. And they fight. Okay, so they would, have swords, and they'd be like, back, beep, 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 and they would be fighting. Then Benvolio comes in, and this is Romeo's, one of his best friends, and this is his cousin. And Benvolio is introduced to us with these lines. Part, fools! Put up your swords, you know not what you do. So Benvolio is introduced to us, and he's telling them, you, stop fighting think about what you're doing. So he, throughout the entire play, is this voice of reason and peace, and is not one that acts impulsively and from, like strong emotions. He's very kind of cool-headed and even, and that's one of the reasons he's introduced to us like that. Enter Tybalt. Tybalt is Juliet's cousin, and he is the opposite of Benvolio. Dixie. Sorry. And so he enters, and his first words to us are, "What? Art thou drawn among these heartless hinds? Turn thee, Benvolio, look upon thy death." So he is introduced to us, and he is all about the rage and violence, and the answer is to fight, and that's the opposite of Benvolio. They are literary foils. Those are two characters that are the opposite in some way, but then they have similar qualities. So for these two characters, they're both cousins of, our two protagonists, but their personalities and how they handle disagreements are so different that they emphasize those qualities in each other. Okay. "I do but keep the peace. Put up thy sword, or manage it to part these men with me." Dixie. Shh. "What, drawn and talk of peace? I hate the word, as I hate hell, O Montagues, and thee. Have at thee, coward." So, them's fighting words. Tybalt says he hates the word peace, hates all Montagues and Benvolio. And then they fight, so swords, ding, 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 ding. And then enter several of both houses who join the fray, and 3 or 4 citizens as officers of the watch, which are kind of like the police, with clubs or partisans. Officers come in, clubs, bills, partisans, strike, beat them down. Down with the Capulets, down with the Montagues. So just like any fight that happens, once there's a fight that breaks out, it spreads, and then people are encircling those that are fighting, and everyone's yelling like, "Fight, fight, fight!" And then that leads to a bigger audience to the fight. So that's what's happening. So this started as a fight between these two servants, and now people are coming out of their house, they're in their pajamas because they've been sleeping, and they're joining this fight. So enter old Capulet in his gown, and that means like his pajamas, okay? And his wife, Lady Capulet. So these are Juliet's parents. "What noise is this? Give me my long sword, ho! A crutch! Why call you for a sword?" So Lady Capulet is saying to her husband, like, "You are too old. You don't need a sword. A crutch would be more up your speed. You're not joining this fight. You're an old man." "My sword, I say. Old Montague is come and flourishes his blade in spite of me." Enter old Montague and his wife, Lady Montague. Montague says, so these are Romeo's parents, "Thou villain Capulet, hold me not, let me go." And that dash and then his dialogue there tells us that, someone is trying to hold him back because he's trying to enter the fight too. And then, Romeo's mom says, "Thou shalt not stir 1 foot to seek a foe." So both of the wives are telling their husbands, like, you are not getting in this fight. Okay, enter the prince. Prince Aeschylus with his train. Prince is mad. He rolls up, and he's the authority in Verona, and he says, "I think a poodle is trying to, ruin us from outside. Dixie, my dog, is very, very territorial. Dixie, come here. Dixie, come here. Dixie, girl." Is this going to happen? She's protecting her family. "Rebellious subjects, enemies to peace, profaners of this neighbor-stained steel, will they not hear? What What ho, you men, you beasts, that quench the fire of your pernicious rage with purple fountains issuing from your veins. On pain of torture, from those bloody hands throw your mistempered weapons to the ground, and hear the sentence of your moved prince. 3 civil brawls, bred of an airy word, by thee, old Capulet and Montague, have thrice disturbed the quiet of our streets, and made Verona's ancient citizens cast by their grace beseeming ornaments to yield old partisans in hands as old, cankered with peace, to part your cankered hate. The prince is really, really angry. He says that the Capulets and the Montagues are to blame because they've been feuding, and it's like just bled into the entire community. And 3 times recently, these fights have broken out and disturbed the quiet of his community, and he is really, really over it. If ever you disturb our streets again, your life shall pay the forfeit of the peace. So he says the next time that somebody starts a fight, they will die. Like, this is punishable by death. I'm done. For this time all the rest depart away. You, Capulet, shall go along with me, and Montague, come you this afternoon to know our farther pleasure in this case, to old Freetown, our common judgment place. Once more, on pain of death, all men depart. So he's going to talk to them separately, like when you have a fight with your sibling and your parents, like talk to one of you and the other gets sent to their room, and then they switch and talk to the other one. So he's done. He's over it. And so he's raised the stakes with punishments. Everyone exits but Montague, Lady Montague, and Benvolio. These are all of Romeo's peeps. Montague says, "Who set this ancient quarrel new abroach? Speak, nephew. Were you by when it began?" So he's questioning, like, who started this? Benvolio is, remember, Romeo's cousin, so this is Montague's nephew. "Here were the servants of your adversary, and yours, close fighting ere I did approach. I drew to part them, in the instant came the fiery Tybalt, with his sword prepared, which, as he breathed defiance to my ears, he swung about his head and cut the winds, who, nothing hurt withal, hissed him in scorn. While we were interchaining thrusts and blows, came more, and fought on part, till the prince came, who parted either part." Benvolio represents what happened truthfully. He says the servants were fighting. I tried to stop them. Tybalt showed up, and he didn't want to stop fighting, so it just got worse. And then the prince came, and so we get, again, Benvolio is trustworthy, peaceful, and he tells it like it is. He's we can trust him. He's trustworthy. Lady Montague says, "Oh, where is Romeo? Saw you him today? Right glad I am he was not at this fray." Benvolio says, "Madame, an hour before the worshipped sun peered forth the golden window of the east. A troubled mind drive me to walk abroad, where underneath the grove of sycamore, that westward rooteth from the city side, so early walking did I see your son. Towards him I made, but he was ware of me, and stole into the covert of the wood. I, measuring his affections by my own, which then most sought where most not be found, being one too many by my weary self, pursued my humor, not pursuing his, and gladly shunned who gladly fled for me." So Benvolio says, yeah, I saw Romeo, Benvolio says, I was taking a walk, just to clear my head, and I saw Romeo also walking solo, and he ignored me, so I just let him be. Montague says, "Many a morning hath he there been seen, with tears augmenting the fresh morning's dew." So Romeo has often been seen walking alone crying, adding to clouds more clouds with his deep sighs. So he's like walking and crying and sighing. "But also soon as the all-cheering sun should in the farthest east begin to draw the shady curtains from Aurora's bed, away from light steals home my heavy son, and private in his chamber pens himself, shuts up his windows, locks fair daylight out, and makes himself an artificial night." Oh, this is like one of those commercials that comes on and it's like, have you been feeling sad lately? Do you sometimes sleep too much and isolate yourself from your family and friends? And, it like Romeo is displaying all the signs of depression, right? Like he's like getting all the light out of his room and sleeping all day. Black and portentous must this humor prove, unless good counsel may the cause remove. They don't know why he's acting like this. My noble uncle, do you know the cause? I neither know it, nor can learn of him. So Romeo won't talk to him about it. Have you importuned him by any means, both by myself and many other friends? So his parents have tried. They sound like pretty, good parents. They're trying to figure out what's wrong with Romeo. How can they help? But he, his own affections counselor, is to himself, I will not say how true, but to himself so secret and so close, so far from sounding and discovery, as is the bud bit with an envious worm, ere he can spread his sweet leaves to the air, or dedicate his beauty to the sun. Could we but learn from whence his sorrows grow, we would as willingly give cure as no. So they just wish that they could help him. All right, so Romeo enters the scene, and he's kind of like off at the distance a little bit, and he's like walking really slow and like draggy and just like, I'm Romeo, I feel my feels so much, I'm so sad. See where he comes, so please you step aside. I'll know his grievance or be much denied. So Benvolio's like, I'll give it a shot, I'll see what he says. I would thou wert so happy by thy stay to hear thy shrift. Come, madame, let's away. So the parents are going to scoot out. So it's more likely Romeo will talk to Benvolio. Good morrow, cousin. Is the day so young? But news struck 9. Ah, me sad hours seem long. Was that my father that went hence so fast? So Romeo right now is such a Debbie Downer. He's so sad. The day just goes so slowly because he feels badly. It was. What sadness lengthens Romeo's hours, not having which having makes them short. In love, out of love, out of her favor, where I am in love. So we found out that Romeo is so sad because of love, that whomever he feels love for doesn't love him back. Alas, that love so gentle in his view should be so tyrannous and rough in proof. Alas, that love, whose view is muffled still, should without eyes see pathways to his will. Where shall we dine? Oh, me! What fray was here? Yet tell me not, for I have heard it all. Here's much to do with hate, but more with love. Why then, O brawling love, O loving hate, O anything of nothing first create. Brawling love, loving hate, those are oxymorons. And so he's saying that he's like looking at the town square and he sees like there's been this fight, there's probably blood on the ground, swords left. And so he's saying this has to do with hate, but it also has to do with love, which is, really one of the major themes of this play, that those two, hate and love, are so wrapped together. Like if you love someone or something, if there's something that they or it hates or is against them, then that becomes your thing too. So then he uses oxymorons to describe love, because he's feeling like, love is supposed to be this great, gentle thing, and it can be so painful and lead to violence and hate and all of that. Oh, heavy lightness, serious vanity, misshapen chaos of well-seeming forms, feather of lead, bright smoke, cold fire, sick health, still waking sleep, that is not what it is. This love feel I, that feel no love in this. Dost thou not laugh? So he continues with this, like, oh, love is such a hypocritical contrast. And Benvolio laughs at him, because imagine if your friend was like just going on and on and on, and they're bros, they're friends. So Benvolio's kind of laughing at him, and he says, no, cause I rather weep. Good heart at what? At thy good heart's oppression. And so Romeo's kind of miffed, like, oh, how dare you laugh at me? Why, such is love's transgression. Griefs of mine own lie heavy in my breast, which thou wilt propagate to have it pressed with more of thine. This love that thou hast shown doth add more grief to too much of mine own. Love is a smoke made with the fume of sighs, being purged of fire sparkling in lovers' eyes, being vexed to see nourished with loving tears. What is it else? A madness most discreet, a choking gall and a preserving sweet. Farewell, my cuz. So he's again talking about this, double, like kind of like two-faced quality of love. It's a madness, but it's subtle, so you don't always realize it. A sweet that can become so sweet that it like chokes you. Soft, I will go along, and if you leave me go, you do me wrong. Tot, I have lost myself. I am not here. This is not Romeo. He's some other where. So we get that like Romeo feels his feels strongly. He's an emotional dude, and there's nothing wrong with that. We're against toxic masculinity. But he also acknowledges that he's not always like that, which makes sense because, if Romeo was always acting like this, that would be really difficult for him to maintain, his friendships and his relationships. So we get that when he feels something, it's really extreme, but there's other times where Romeo is, more of his regular self, kind of a bit more balanced, but he definitely feels things strongly and reacts to things. He's kind of like one of those all-in people. Tell me in sadness, who is that you love? What, shall I groan and tell thee? Groan, why no, but sadly tell me who. Bid a sick man in sadness make his will, a word ill-urged one that is so ill. In sadness, cousin, I do love a woman. And Benvolio, of course, would laugh at that. He's like, yeah, I assumed as much. I aimed so near when I supposed you loved. A right good markman, and she's fair I love. A right fair mark, fair cuz as soonest hit. Well, in that hit you miss. She'll not be hit with Cupid's arrow. She hath Dian's wit, and in strong proof of chastity well armed. From love's weak childish bow she lives uncharmed. She will not stay the siege of loving terms, nor bide thy encounter of assailing eyes, nor ope her lap to saint-seducing gold. Oh, she is rich in beauty, only poor, that when she dies, with beauty dies her store. Then she hath sworn that she will still live chaste. She hath, and in that sparring makes huge waste. So let's pause for a moment. I love this, that this girl that Romeo is pining for and feels like he loves, she has told him that this pretty much comes down to like, she's going to become a nun. And is that a possibility? Sure. But probably most likely Romeo is just so much and won't take the hint that like, I'm just not into you. That like, imagine Romeo is, hanging out at her locker and is like, oh, hi, it's me again. Will you go out with me? And then she's had this so much that finally she's like, hey, Romeo, I told you a bunch of times I'm busy. Update, I will never say yes to you because I'm gonna become a nun. That's right, a nun. And like, it takes that amount for Romeo to be like, oh, okay. So that always makes me laugh because probably she's not, but Romeo just would not take the hint. She hath, and in that spring makes huge waste, for beauty starved with her severity, cuts beauty off from her posterity. She is too fair, too wise, wisely too fair, to merit bliss by making me despair. She hath forsworn to love, and in that vow do I live dead, that live to tell it now. Be ruled by me, forget to think of her. Oh, teach me how I should forget to think. So Benvolio's like, hey, there's plenty of fish in the sea. Let's, just forget about her. By giving liberty unto thine eyes, examine other beauties. He's like, hey, Romeo, you're like a young, handsome bachelor of Verona. Like, see what's out there. 'Tis the way to call her exquisite and question more. These happy masks that kiss fair ladies' brows, being black, puts us in mind they hide the fair. He that is strucketh blind cannot forget thy precious treasure of his eyesight lost. Show me a mistress that is passing fair. What doth her beauty serve but as a note, where I may read who passed that passing fair? Farewell, thou canst not teach me to forget. So Romeo's like, not going to happen. No one's going to touch her beauty in my mind. And Benvolio says, I'll pay that doctrine or else die in debt. He's like, I'm not giving up on you. I got you. I'm your dude. And I'm going to have you look at other letters. Okay. For today, we will stop there. If you have any questions about what we read, just email me and we will get through this together. And we might be social distancing as a society, but I still, if you need something, let me know. I miss you guys, and we will get through this week. All right, tomorrow we're going to tackle Act 1, Scene 2. Real quick, do you want to see my dog? Dixie. Dixie girl, come here. Come here. Come here. Come here. Come meet my freshman honors English students. Come here. Come here, Dixie. Come here, girl. Yeah, come here. Come here. Say hi. Come here. Dixie. Dixie, come here. Yeah. Good girl. She's just a little bit mad at me because she really wanted to play Romeo, and I thought that she wasn't really ready for the role. So she's just a little bit miffed. As you could see, she was barking, trying to throw off my reading through of the scene. So, actors, they're temperamental. So we'll see what happens tomorrow. Maybe I can throw some puppets together. I don't know. If you have any ideas, you let me know. And also, on the left side of your books, there's a lot of really good information. If you miss something, want to go through. So I would also suggest that you give this a read through. You don't necessarily have to answer the questions, but just looking through it, it will take, maybe 10 minutes, and it will really help. All right. Bye, guys. Have a good rest of your day, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.